50% of its labor force. So again, whereas the U.S. manufacturing sector kind of thrived during that time, and then the service sector kind of went into a bit of a decline. But then as the economy started to reopen, in the latter phases of 2021, certainly through all of 2022, and even into the bulk of this year, what did we see? We saw this return shift of consumer spending, of resources, of labor out of physical goods and manufacturing and back into services. So over the past 1 to 2 years, Brandon, whereas we've seen the U.S. services industry literally thrive, it's been just the opposite for the U.S. manufacturing sector, where the U.S. manufacturing sector over the past 1 to 2 years has been challenged because of that return shift out of the purchase of physical goods and back into services. And again, I point to that little statistics I mentioned at the start of this question here. Whereas of the 2.4 million new jobs added this year, the U.S. manufacturing sector has a net loss of 16,000 jobs.
Yeah. Yeah. So what? Sorry. Go ahead, Keith.
And speaking of those, service jobs, and I think all of us, whether you're going out in Geneseo or wherever you go, there still is a big need, though, it seems, for those the service jobs, particularly when you get into like restaurants, food service, that sort of thing. We're probably all aware there's even still restaurants here in town that haven't really gone back to in-restaurant dining, because it just seems that maybe there's almost been a degree of a permanent change in that some of those jobs aren't coming back. They figured out ways to operate without that staff. And then quite honestly, it just seems it's just difficult finding somebody that's willing to work even for the higher minimum wage that we have here in Illinois or other states. And do you think that's the case, that those jobs or some of those just probably will never be back?
Well, you're right. I mean, you think that, once the economy officially started to open up, those mandates, those restrictions kind of started to ease up in the later phases of 2021, that we'd see this mass surge of employees going back to work in the service industries. And to your point, Keith, it's kind of been the opposite. It's almost kind of been a trickle effect. Literally, it took about 2.5 years for the labor market to return to that 17 million workforce number that it had pre-pandemic back in February 2020. That's a long time. And I think businesses in the service industry have kind of adapted, so to speak, to this new and post-COVID environment, whereas, maybe some service jobs, an employer had 5 employees, maybe it's now 4. Maybe it's now 3. And then plus we've also seen this rising wages, which has also placed strains on business owners. The higher cost of labor has certainly had an impact on the number of employees that business owner is able to afford.
Yeah. So what, on that topic of the rising wages, what does it, and as people look at with the market being strong right now and the job market still being hot, I think when we have these conversations, people may be considering transitioning jobs, or they're trying to look at the future, but maybe there's some risk there. What do wages look like in the future, I guess, if these trends continue to develop?
Well, I guess if there was one weakness within the labor market over the last couple of years, and again, I don't want to get nitpicky with respect to the U.S. labor market, because that's really been one of the strongholds of the U.S. economy is a labor market. When you're talking about a 3.4% 50-year low, literally just a couple of months ago in April, any negative aspects that you're saying kind of seems to be a little bit nitpicky. But over the last couple of years, one weakness of the U.S. labor market has been wage growth. I mean, certainly, pre-pandemic, if you had wage growth of, 2.5%, that was a quality annual wage growth. But Over the last post-pandemic, we've seen annual wage growth go from, to 3.5, 4, even above 5%. And but the challenge, though, is inflation. Inflation went from February of 2020 to 1.7%, all the way up to June of last year. It peaked at 8.9%. So when consumer prices are rising by 7, 8, almost 9% on an annual basis, but your wage growth is 3, 4, 5%, you're kind of in the negative there. So you're really losing a lot of purchasing power. Now, over the last couple of months, we've seen inflation kind of dip down a little bit, but we'll see how that plays out over the next few months and years. But with inflation currently at 3.2%, one positive is wage growth is at 4.1%. So for the first time in quite some time, wage growth is actually exceeding the annual increase in prices. As far as projecting it out for the next 3, 6, 9, 12 months, I think the general consensus on Wall Street is we do get some type of economic weakness. Simply because it's just a matter of time. The strain and pressure of high inflation, of high interest rates, at some point has to take a toll on the U.S. consumer and the U.S. economy. And the majority of Wall Street economists and analysts do expect the economy to weaken significantly over the next 6 to 12 months. Now, whether we go into a recession, that's where you get that 50-50 flip of the coin debate. Some people say we do go into a mild recession, others don't. But even with that general sense of economic weakness over the next 6, 12 months, that should, in my opinion, carry some downward weakness on annual wage growth. There's simply going to be a lesser demand by employers for workers, and the less demand there is for workers, usually wage growth tends to decline.
All right. Well, thank you, Mark. Appreciate the information as always. I'm going to make a pivot here to Mr. Garrett Griswold, who's also joined us this morning, Director of IT for the City of Geneseo. Want to get into a couple of things with you this morning, Garrett. Welcome.
Good morning.
So tell us a little bit about what do you do for the city? How long have you been working for the City of Geneseo?
Okay, well, I'm the Director of Information Technology, as Brandon already stated. I've been working for 7 years for the city. I do everything from fixing computers to running the council meetings to flying the city drone.
Yeah.
Also being the abominable snowman during the Christmas parade.
Yes, this is the guy for those who are going to attend the Christmas walk coming up on the 9th. He's usually front and center on the theme. Sometimes mixing it up as a DJ and almost every year it seems like we put a DJ on the float now.
DJ Bumble.
Yeah. I don't know if it's going to be a gingerbread man this year, maybe.
Or DJ Bumble again, yeah.
Yeah.
He was a big hit.
We'll see. We'll keep you.
Are we officially looking for volunteers?
Correct.
Yes.
Always looking for volunteers.
Yep. Looking forward to it. We're going to be starting to get the float ready today for the city's entries. So pulling that out of the garage. So I wanted to have Garrett in to focus on a couple of different things. We promote the Code Red system with the city, but we try to get this word out there as much as we can. The city has a system called Code Red to inform residents of emergency situations or things that may impact them in their neighborhood with water main breaks, other utility issues, things like that. Garrett, can you kind of tell us a little bit more about it and how people can sign up for it?
Sure. So what Code Red is it's a cloud-based software that we use. 10,000 other countries or counties, cities, towns, and villages use this across the United States. It lets us send a mass message out to the community in case of a general or an emergency alert that needs to be put out to help spread the word of what's going around in town. We use it for anything from police activity, severe weather, street closures, water main breaks, boil orders, anything like that we need to either geolocate so we can target the audience or let the entire town know what's going on, just so we can either keep people out of that area or just warn them if they're out of town what's going on in town.
Yeah. And it's an important system that we have because, we hear a lot that, not everybody has Facebook. Not everybody likes to use the internet. And so this is really an opportunity for, and you hate to say it's maybe different generations,
Correct.
but, if you're on Facebook, you're up on technology, maybe help a family member sign up for this, because something that important that's going on, we're always going to push it through the website and our technology, right? But this is a way, if you sign up and you just simply have a telephone,
Correct. So-
and you text message, that you can still be up on this information, right?
Correct. So Code Red will use either a text message, a phone call, a mobile alert on the app. They actually have an app on the Play Store and the Apple Store. It does an automatic Facebook post also during those events. So it reaches out in all those ways. It's a click of a button for us. So it's a good way for us to get 5,000 plus messages out as soon as, or as fast as possible.
Yeah.
And pretty much if you're a resident, there's links on our city website.
Correct, yep.
That would point us in that direction. And as Brandon mentioned too, most everyone anymore is kind of pretty much up to speed on the technology thing, but not everyone. So even if you have to kind of hold somebody's hand a little bit to walk them through the website, or even come in by City Hall, I'm sure that Garrett or somebody would be happy to walk you through the process of getting set up on it, because it really is we have several sources of information, but that would probably be considered, that's probably the first one. If there's some sort of an emergency alert or something,
Correct.
that would be the first one that we go to, as we're also distributing the information through the other media sources.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it is on the city website. So if you go to www.cityofgeneseo.com, look on the top bar, you'll see Code Red. You click on that. It's going to bring you to the Code Red website. And you put your information in. It's pretty easy from there.
And Garrett, that's on a Code Red alert that you may have heard in the background, but pretty soon we'll be having the morning announcements. So
It surprised me my first time last month. I was like, what are all these beeps and buzzes going
yes.
on?
So everyone stay calm. Everything is fine.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's important for everybody to sign up, I think, because we have, we think about simple things, water main breaks, where unplanned utility-related things are important to know about. But there's also been, unfortunately, some other situations where the police were involved, where, we've had active threats in town, where there's been street closures and, where people could potentially get hurt if they came into an area, real threats and the tornadoes. Mm-hmm. I mean, the straight line winds, those situations where they're actually life-threatening scenarios, to make sure you want to stay away, know what's going on. It's an important thing.
Yeah. It's definitely a community backbone that we can use for outreach and, get all of our information out to the citizens as quick as we possibly can.
Yeah. Yep. So the other thing I mentioned when we opened up the show is, I would say it's a passion of yours to stay up on what's going on with threats and security-wise.
100% agree with you.
Garrett's always attending programs, state conferences, making sure that he's in the know with the latest on, I guess what the bad actors are doing, so we can stay a step ahead of it, right?
Correct. I would definitely say the city employees and the city council definitely know about our program that we use for phishing and scamming campaigns, which is KnowBe4. It helps our community stay safe by the city not being breached, as knock on wood.
Yeah.
So during the holiday season, though, quick little fact here is nearly 75% Americans experience at least one type of holiday scam during the year. So that's a lot. A lot of people, a lot of scams. Brandon, want me to talk about a couple quick scams here? Is a big one is the gift card scam, where someone's either calling or emailing you, or you're getting a phone call from someone that says they're from Microsoft, which that will never happen. Microsoft will never call you. They want you to go buy a gift card at the store. Most of the stores in town that I already know of they're pretty trained in this. They know that they target elderly people, and they want to come in there and buy a $500 gift card. They'll usually try to stop you right there. I know Walgreens and Walmart are both trained on that. That is a huge scam going around. It's been around for probably 10 years, I would say. There's also malicious links. So a lot of people are sending out links to a UPS or FedEx package, or check your order status from a different company, and they want you to click on that link, and it's going to bring you somewhere else and basically either hijack the package or try to steal your information off your browser.
And that is something too that I think everyone, or a good rule of thumb would be skepticism.
Correct.
If you're getting an email or you're getting approached with something or being called by something that just doesn't feel right, or it's out of the blue or what have you, just because the phone's ringing and somebody's saying something doesn't mean that it's legitimate. Or the same thing if you get an email, and some of them, Garrett, I'm sure you could attest to this, are on the email side, can be, they have it down pretty good to where they can make it look pretty official. And yes, there are ways to see, where is the link going back to, and you can kind of figure it out. But yeah, just always be a little skeptical, and don't be in a rush either. Too. If it's something important, maybe you'll receive something in the mail. Maybe there might be some follow up, or just call somebody maybe that you trust that maybe is a bit more technical savvy and say, hey, does this seem legit, or what have you? Because it's really so prevalent anymore. And Garrett, as you've spoken to where it's just kind of part of the
ecosystem.
Part of the way of doing business on the web is that you have to kind of filter out the stuff that's legit and that isn't.
They're very good at their job.
Yes.
They do make money. They make millions and millions of dollars a year doing this. Like I tell my employees, is always hover over the links, look where it's going, and check the sender. Two main things.
Yeah, and I'm still paying off. It was a bad call, but that Nigerian prince
I haven't got my rupees yet.
Is sitting pretty, but
your email was from the prince. Mine was from the princess. So maybe there's.
Well, I'm sure there was a need in both cases, but that one even hurt more than the donuts.
And you didn't receive the rupees.
There you go. But but be skeptical, and Garrett does a great job. It's with any IT system, it just is prevalent in really every aspect of what we do as a city, or in our personal lives, or in any business, or what have you, and just kind of keeping those things functioning properly is a big responsibility, and it's not so much that people are necessarily looking to probably hack in or attack the city website, but there's just people that's kind of, and that does
you'll be surprised
that does occur.
It is
However,
an attack vector. Yeah,
a lot of it though is just just random. It's just out there, and it's like fishing. And if you get somebody on a hook, they reel you in, and they don't care who they're going after. And Garrett slapped my hand. I thought the USB drive that this guy gave me was safe. Shouldn't have loaded it onto the network system, but but I learned because Garrett taught me, and he does an excellent job in all seriousness, and not only the IT systems, but also we talked a little bit too. We do stream city council meetings and stuff, on our website. Garrett handles all of that. We typically probably don't have a lot of clicks and stuff when that is on, but it's a wonderful way to stay involved, and Garrett's even working on some improvements there to try to enhance the product again in an effort to just improve communication with our residents.
correct. Yeah, we got a big overhaul coming in 2024, working on sound quality, so that's definitely a big plus and needed factor in the council chamber that we have right now.
Nice upgrades coming for those who do
Correct.
like to go back and stream the meetings, which seems to be, the traffic seems to be picking up. Those who can't attend or they are streamed live on the city's YouTube channel, but you can also go back and watch them, just like you can go back and listen to this show. So,
Correct.
thanks for being here, Garrett.
No problem.
Want to go through some of the stuff coming up in town. Got a little bit of a list here. We're approaching a pretty busy month. Today's December 1st, so there's a lot happening around the holidays in Geneseo. First thing we want to mention is that Geneseo Communications is doing their annual toy drive. This will be on Tuesday, December the 5th, from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Bring in a toy. Drop it off. Donate it. It will go to a child in poverty that may not receive gifts this year. Do want to mention that this is the last opportunity to get rid of your yard waste. We talked in the meeting on Tuesday night in the chambers. We're seeing some of the final leaves come off some of the oak trees and some of the late droppers. The burn pile is open today from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Going to be a little bit wet out there, but we'll be open tomorrow as well. It's the last day it's open to drop off, 8 a.m. to noon. for those final leaves or yard waste that you want to drop. Did want to also mention that the Geneseo Police Department and the Impact Program specifically is partnering up with Rebuilding Together Henry County for the donation of durable medical equipment. This can be anything: wheelchairs, power chairs, walkers, shower chairs, things like that people may need. You can give the gift of mobility, donate that equipment. Maybe it's sitting in your basement, hasn't been used in years. Drop it off at the Geneseo Police Department from December 1st through the 31st. They're doing that drive to hopefully gather a lot of those medical goods and donate them to Rebuilding Together to be donated to those in need that may not be able to purchase them themselves. The Geneseo Electric Utility Holiday Light Competition applications for that entry forms are due today. Do want to encourage people to sign up if you've decorated your home. There's some nice utility credits from the electric department for the winners of that competition. So, join us in making Geneseo well lit and beautiful for the holiday season. Join in on the fun there. Of course, Christmas Walk is on December 9th. That is next Saturday. Next Friday's show, the 8th, will be Zach Sullivan from the Geneseo Chamber of Commerce. That will be in to talk all things Christmas Walk. Also going to be joined by Scotty Freeman, the Glass Man. He'll participate in that conversation as well. Looking forward to getting him in here.
You'll want to tune in.
It should be an
awesome.
Entertaining show.
Awesome.
And then lastly, we get questions on 2nd Street and Oakwood. We've had a large water main project there the past few weeks. That project has wrapped up. We are waiting on the concrete to come, the weather to have a nice day here, concrete be poured back in, and then that the closure should be done there. So with that, that's all I've got, Keith.
Well, and that's a whole lot of information, Brandon, and appreciate you sharing all of that. And as always, if you would like to get a hold of us or maybe have a city question you'd like answered or just comment or what have you, it's always best to email Brandon. And Brandon, your address is?
Yep, bmeglin at cityofgeneseo.com, BMAEGLIN at cityofgeneseo.com. Or, hey, you can email Garrett, too.
You can email me at ggriswold at cityofgeneseo.com. That's GGRISWOLD at city.com.
He'd love to take your questions as well.
Correct. You got spam, anything like that, let me know.
Yeah. Perfect. Future show topics, you want to hear something else, learn something, let us know.
Okay, well, with that, and again, we're hearing the morning announcements, so that's our cue to wrap things up. So we'd like to thank Mark and Garrett for coming in this morning. Appreciate it very much. Brandon, always a pleasure. Have a good weekend, and the same to our listeners. And you've been listening to WGRG 100.5 FM in Geneseo.